that showing the whole set from right here or from right here? That's from right here. I'll block you. Okay. All right. Now, if I can find my screen here, get my mug out of here. All right, here we go. Let's try this. Now, let's see if this will show up on the other screen. Okay, so we're on number 3 here. Okay, that's how I was showing it. Now, this is what I was trying to explain before technology was not working. See if it shows up here on my other screen. It might not. Work with this. All right. We got the 8V. What goes with the 8V? The 5V. So I'm going to add those two. Sorry, that's not a 5V, that's a negative 5V. So I have 8V plus negative 5V. If it helps you to write it down and see it, write it down. 8V plus negative 5V is 3V. And then the 9, or the negative 9, it's the only one of its type. So drop it like it's hot. Okay. Number 4, we need to distribute. Okay, there's nothing between the 8 and the parentheses, so that's multiply. So I have 8 times 3n, that's 24n. And we have 8 times negative 8. Okay, that is a negative 8. If you don't believe me, go plus a negative. 8 times negative 8 is negative 64. Now, it's typically ones like 5 and 6 where we have the majority of our mistakes because we're multiplying by a negative. We have negative 3 times 5v. That'd be negative 15v. We have negative 3 times 1. Negative times a positive is always negative. And when I'm multiplying, this is going to be negative 3. Now, do remember, it is okay. I would still accept it as correct if you wrote plus negative 3. Okay? And the last one, we have negative 4 times 10. That's negative 40. And we also have negative 4 times, what is this number? Negative 7x. Remember, if you don't believe me, plus a negative. Negative times a negative equals a positive. That's going to be positive 28x. Okay, so that's where a lot of times with the negatives, when you multiply them, we don't see the numbers as what they are, and then it throws us off. Okay? Now, we are going to be going through and talking about putting these two things together. So today, my engrasapers, we are going to begin doing distribute and combine the terms together. Okay. One huge thing, go ahead and write this down. One huge thing that you're going to find is we have to process order of operations with this. Distributing is what operation when we distribute? We're multiplying, right? Combining like terms is what operation? We combine like terms, we're adding. Okay, so we have to think, if I'm deciding between multiply and add, which one goes first? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which one comes first? Parentheses, exponents, but between multiply and add, what comes first? Multiply. So I have to do my distributive property before I do any combining like terms. Okay? Now, this one in particular, this first one's a little tricky. Okay, what number's in front of the parenthesis? Doesn't show anything, right? So what does it have to be? Take a guess. 1. Okay, now, since it's -1, that is a -1. Oops, I grabbed my pen. -1. Okay? And we're going to distribute first. So the first thing that we're worried about doing why won't that go? Is this. Okay? Let me include the negative sign. That's the first part that we're worried about doing. So this -8n, drop it like it's hot. What Snoop Dogg told me. Okay, ready? I'm going to distribute now. Negative times a negative equals a negative times a negative equals a positive. So that's plus 2n. -1 times 7 is -7. And now we're going to add up our like terms. Okay? Now, if it bothers you with the -7 there, put plus a -7. Okay, so we're going to add like terms. So 8n, or sorry, -8n and 2n go together. We're going to add those up. So -8n plus 2n. Different signs subtract, keep the larger. That'd be -6n. And then this -7, there's nothing else with it. Drop it like it's and that's it. Okay, you have to distribute first. You have to distribute first. Let's look at our next one. Write this doozy down. We got -9, parentheses. 6 plus 3b, close parentheses, plus 10. Now, the first thing we have to worry about, do we distribute or do we add like terms first? Which one? Distribute. So I need to look through the problem and see, is there any distribute there? And right here, there's distribute. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So the first thing, -9 times 6 is -54. -9 times positive 3b, that's -27b. And this plus 10 is not in the parentheses. So all I do is drop it like it's hot. There she is. Now, I'm not done because I have to look for like terms. Okay? Alex, are there like terms here? Where? -54 and 10. So I'm going to add those two together. Okay? The -27b is its own thing. It's the only one like it. -54 plus 10, different signs subtract. Keep the larger. So it'd be -44. And then the -27b, drop it like it's 4. Okay? Questions? Going once. Going twice. 2 more that we're going to look at together. So those are 2 types that you had one distribute part. Okay? Let's look at a couple where you have multiple distribute parts. Write this one down. We have -5 times 2m minus 4. That's all in parentheses. -7 parentheses. -7 minus 7. Close parentheses. one distribute part at a time. So I have this one to do. I also have this one to do, but they're separate. Okay, they're not the same one. You do them one at a time. So let's do this little pink problem. There's a -5 in front, so I better be careful when I multiply. -5 times 2m is -10m. 10m. That's a new word. 10. -5 times, what's this number here? -4. So negative times a negative, +20. And so it's very important that we're seeing those as positive, negative correctly. Okay? What's in front of the next parenthesis? Negative what? -7. So multiplying. -7 times -7. Remember, again, that is a -7. Okay? -7 times -7, that's +49. And -7 times -1m is +7m. Now I can start adding things together. My m's go together. So -10m plus 7m. -3m, different sign, subtract, keep the larger. 10, there's more negatives there, so that's why it's -3m. Okay? And then my two constants, 20 plus 49 is 69. And then we do the hokey pokey and turn ourselves around, because that's what it's all about. One more together, and then we're going to do a few sets as our homework. And write this last one down. I mean, personally, I don't mind these as much as the last one. The last one I don't like as much because it's got all these negatives in it. We have more chances to make a mistake with all those negatives. So when you see negatives, you got to slow down. Okay, take your time, give yourself some time to think. Okay, this one's not as bad because it doesn't have any negatives. It's still the exact same concept though. Okay, I still have two distribute parts. There's one of them. There's the other one. So I have two things to do for distributive property. This first one, I'm going to distribute the 6. So Mia, when I distribute the 6 into this yellow one, what do I get? For both parts. 60 plus 54, all good. Now, always pay attention to whether this number is positive or negative. And that is a +2. So when I distribute the +2 into the next one, Hayden, right? What would I get? 4 plus 6R. Now I have all my terms down. Let's add the like ones together. What goes with 60? What goes with the 60? The 4. So that's 60 plus 4 is 64, or city phone. And then I have my R's that go together. 54R plus 6R is 60R. Okay? And that's it. Now, we're going to do a few sets of these. When we do these sets, guys, this is the worksheet. Okay? So I kind of broke the worksheet apart so that you can just do it right here. And then there's one last thing to do at the end. Okay, so here's your first set. And this, again, this is our homework part. Once you do these two problems. Give you guys about 4 minutes. Go. right onto your notes. You're going to end up taking a picture of your notes and uploading it to Google Classroom. So no worries.
Driving heavy on river road, ain't looking fine. I just want it all. Just getting on my own. Try. Oh, midnight came. You're at the wheel, I'm afraid. And the truth, all that remains, I'll find you.
Let's go ahead and look at these. If you're at home and you needed to pause to give yourself more time, that's fine. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and go through these answers. This first part, I'm distributing the negative 10, so let me turn off the music, sorry. Negative 10 times V is negative 10V. Negative 10 times 9 is negative 90. Okay. The 6, that's a positive 6 there, so 6 times V is 6V. 6 times 4 is 24. Okay. Now I'm combining my like terms, so my V's I'm going to add up. Okay, negative 10V plus 6V is negative 4V. And then my numbers I'm going to add up. Help me out here. What's negative 90 plus 24? Negative 66. Now, since it's a negative answer, that's why I'm putting minus 66. Okay, so that's how you would typically see it in the textbook. Remember, it would be okay to write plus negative 66. Plus negative 66. Okay, but it's got to be a negative 66. It's got to be a negative 4b. Okay, questions on this? The second one. For the second one, we have to do this part, which is the distributive property, and that is a positive 2 in front. So we'll distribute the 2. What do I do with the 5b? Drop it like it's hard. I'm smiling under my mask, by the way. I'm sorry. 2 times 6 is 12. And 2 times, oh Lord, what number is this? Negative 1. Okay, remember that's plus a negative 1. So 2 times negative 1, p is negative 2p. To p or not to p? That's the question. Only during your little break. The p's get added up. Plus a negative 2p. So 5p plus a negative 2p is 3p. And the 12, drop it like it's hard. Imagine if you had both of these correct. Maybe you have both of them correct. Okay. Not bad, especially early here. Okay, let's do this set. Next set, go.
Watching empty cars fall into the ocean, disappear. I can't tell if this is real. These mountains made of steel. Am I with everything that I want, or am I here inside the town where I was raised? We turned and walked away, better to be lost than without you. We were meant to be, shoreline at our feet, waiting on a wave to run into.
Another minute here. All right, number 2. We have 2 times n is 2n. 2 times 2 is 4. And remember, the negative 10n is not a part of it, so I'm going to drop it like it's hot. Okay? And I'm going to add my like terms. I have a 2n and a negative 10n to add up. Different sign, subtract, get the larger. That plus 4, drop it like it's hot. Okay? That's the first one. The second one's a little trickier because it's got a whole bunch of negative stuff in it. Okay? So we got to be very careful here. We have negative 6 times 8. It's negative 48. Negative 6 times 7x. That's negative 42x. So that part's done. And then here's the key. Most people miss this because they don't recognize this as a negative 10. They go too fast and they're like, oh, 10 times this, 10 times, and it's not 10, it's negative 10. Okay, so negative 10 times negative 7x, negative times a negative, that is a positive 70x. Similarly here, negative 10 times, this is a negative 3. So negative times a negative is positive 30. So when I typically see mistakes on these, I see them right here in that second part, okay? Especially with the 30. That is probably when we do these problems, that's the number one mistake. Okay, so we got to really take our time with that. And just an FYI, you're going to see this stuff in the middle of equations. That's what's coming up next week is we're going to be solving equations, and all of that's going to be on one side. So if you make one tiny mistake here, you're not going to be able to solve and get the correct answer. You got to be very, very careful. Now, we're not done. Got to add our like terms. So we got our constants, negative 48 and 30. Different signs, subtract, keep the larger. And then we have our x's, negative 42x and positive 70x. So different signs, subtract, keep the larger. Okay, so it'd be positive 28. Oh, what did I do wrong? I made a mistake. What did I do? You guys see it? What did I do? Yeah. I put an X at the end of the negative 18 by accident. That should not be there. And so be careful about that. I did not do that on purpose. Okay, that was a legit, like, I just randomly wrote it down. Okay, so be very, very careful that you're not doing that same type of thing. That's what happens when we go a little too fast. Okay, next time here, remember we're doing the homework right now. Just keep that in mind. You're doing it as we go here. Okay? This is the stuff I should see. I have to shrink this a little bit. I should see these in your pictures that you're going to take here in a second. All right, let's go ahead and do these two, number 5 and 7. About 30 more seconds, and I'm going to walk these through. For those of you at home watching the recording of this, you can pause and fast forward however you need to get to the answers when you're ready. Number 5. 5. Very, very careful that we don't get excited about seeing two numbers that look like they could be added together and doing it right away. Okay? Can't get excited. Can't go, Mr. Lone, I know what -5 minus 9 is. Do that right away. Right? Because multiply has to be done before you combine like terms. I have to distribute first. So I have to distribute that -9 first. And that is a -9. This -5, all I do is drop it like it's hot. -9 times 3 is -27. And -9 times 5x is -45x. If you want to make these plus and negatives, you can. Now we're going to add up the like terms. So -5 plus -27, same signs add, keep the sign. And then my x is the only one of its kind, drop it like it's odd. And since it's a negative, that's why I'm writing -45x. Okay. Questions on that first one? It's number 7. Distribute, got 2 parts. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times -8n is -24n. Got to distribute the -2, and yes, that is a -2. -2 times 1 is -2. -2 times -2n, negative times a negative is +4n. Add my like terms together. The constants, 3 plus -2 is 1. And then we have -24n and 4n. Different signs subtract, keep the large one. We got one more set to finish up this part of the homework. Okay, one more set. Are there any questions on these two before we move on? At all? Okay. Let's do these last two. Number 6 and number 8. Go.
On my way, and you know I couldn't wait another day to see your face. Baby, now I'm on my way, believe me when you hear me say, I'm on my way, I'm on my way.
Okay, number 6, and I went around and I took a glance at your guys' work, and it was good seeing what you guys did. There is a major tendency, if we don't pause, especially when you see it like this, 5 plus 2, you're like, ooh, this is so long, 5 plus 2 is 7. You can't do that, okay? You can't add when you're supposed to multiply first. So I have to distribute that. The 5, all I can do with this 5 is drop it like it's hot. So 2 times 5n is 10n. 2 times 7 is 14. Combine my like terms. 5 plus 14 is 19. And do keep in mind, guys, if you wrote it the other way, as long as the signs are correct in terms of positive and negative terms, then it's okay. All right? The last one, number 8. We have 2 parts to distribute. So -1 or -10 times 1 is -10. -10 times -5b, that's positive 50b. Okay? We have a positive 6 here we're distributing now. So 6 times 4b is positive 24b. And 6 times -7, yes, that's a -7, is -42. Add my like terms. -10 plus -42, same signs, add, keep the sign. The B's, 50b plus 24b is positive 74b. Everyone has questions on those two? Okay. Now, this is what you guys are going to need to do. Take a picture of your notes and those sets of 2. Okay? Make sure the picture that you're taking, that I can visually see the problems. Try to not, if it's like too blurry where you take the picture. And upload those to your Google Classroom. That way I can see that you took the notes, which I know those of you that were here in class with me, I know you did. Right? I want to make sure that everyone's taking these notes, especially because the homework portion of it is on there. Right? Now, once you're done with that, you need to complete the Kahoot. It's on the Google Classroom assignment. Okay? And then when you're done with all that, then you can make sure that you click the turn in button. With the Kahoot, make sure you use your first and last name. It made it hard to, I don't know everyone, it made it hard to remember who was who when I was going back through and trying to give the grades for that stuff. I do want you guys all to check at some point, check your Power School grades so you can see where you're at after the first week and a half. Because I entered in all the grades from up until Thursday. Okay? I did not enter in Friday stuff because I was giving you guys till this Friday to finish it. Okay, so some of you are already done with it, but not everyone was. Any questions on that? Okay, please stay on top of the homework and turning things in, because if we fall behind, that's going to be an issue. Okay, and there's a lot of stuff that's going into the grade book, so I want to make sure you guys are held accountable to getting the work done. Okay, that'll be it. Just have the Kahoot to do and make sure you upload those things. All right.